Cabins offer a great place to seek a peaceful getaway. They come in many different shapes and sizes, and some of them are built to include luxurious amenities and features. So join me for today's video as we take a look at 15 of the most incredible cabins. Number 15. The Hemloft Treehouse. Why not start things off with something a little funky? The Hemloft Treehouse is nestled in an awesome little secret hideout in the woods of British Columbia and is the ultimate hippie hideaway. The treehouse itself is built deep into the woods and pretty high up too. But this treehouse isn't part of some giant lodge. Because of its simple design, it was made by just one man, a carpenter by trade. The project is just a 5-minute walk down the road, but it's built in such a precarious location that if you don't know about it, then chances are you're not even going to find it. The Hemloft is incredibly small, and the interior is very bare bones, so this gorgeous structure is probably best suited for folks who don't mind camping out, and for people who don't mind heights. Number 14. Cypress Valley Treehouses. They say everything is bigger in Texas, but what about the treehouses? Well, Cypress Valley treehouses in Texas are some of the coziest little treehouses you'll ever find. But instead of just offering a handful of these wooden structures, Cypress Valley is made up of a network of 25 treehouses. And despite the fellow guests, there's still a feeling of seclusion and peace and quiet here. But you've got to hand it to the developers, because this place looks like it's been built by Tolkien's elves. The Cypress Valley treehouses are built in one of the best locations in the state, surrounded by not only the dense forest as far as the eyes can see, but there are plenty of lakes here too that will make you forget about all the hustle and bustle of the big city living in a flash. It's the perfect place to just go exploring for a day and tune out the rest of the world. They also created an intricate steel canopy here too, so while you can see the blue sky perfectly, it helps to add to the elven retreat feel. It's also just incredibly Instagram-worthy too, if you're into that sort of thing. But I recommend putting down the phone in a place like this to soak it all in. Number 13. Out and About Treehouse Treesort. You can't talk about hippie hideaways without delving into the Oregon scene. Out and About Treehouse Treesort is exactly what it sounds like. It strips down the fancy resort and gives it a natural spin to create an idyllic retreat up in the trees. Let's just say that this place is absolutely tremendous. Okay, enough of that. The Treehouse Resort is made of a series of tree houses, each with its own unique twist and offering plenty to do, so that you never need to go back to the hustle and bustle of city life. So when you're not pretending to be a hobbit in your woodland abode, there's horseback riding, swimming, and even ziplining to keep you occupied and help get you back in touch with nature. And if he had to pick one, I think that the Treesort would definitely be Henry David Thoreau's favorite hotel. And since all the rooms are high above in the thick branches of the forest, every building is connected via a series of swaying bridges. This place, it's absolutely awesome. Number 12. Anadale. New Zealand is known for its sprawling and quiet green landscape, so what better place to have a cabin? The Anadale offers some of the best cabins in the region, and instead of sitting in the middle of a secluded forest, they take things a step further and are situated right on the ocean. Located in a perfectly snug spot within the rolling hills of the Banks Peninsula, all 4 of the luxury cabins sit right on the Pacific Ocean. It really is quite spectacular and should change the way people everywhere think about cabins. Because not only is the location incredibly unique, but their interiors are a bit updated as well. Instead of a wooden shack filled with cobwebs and old clanking pots and pans, these offer a modern getaway with a king-size bed, full living room with a fireplace, and a fully functional modern bathroom. Old Abe Lincoln's cabin, this is not. These cabins sit on completely private farmland, and there are only 2 ways to get there, either by a 40-minute drive in a rugged 4-wheel drive vehicle or by helicopter. But once you finally make the journey, there's nothing here but the scenery, fresh air, and a mind as clear as the water you're living on. Number 11. Japanese Forest Cabin. Despite the name, the Japanese Forest Cabin is actually tucked away in Oregon in the United States, just along the beautiful Nehalem River, and is just a short drive from the Pacific Ocean. This cabin in Oregon was built by Brian Schultz, a boat builder who took his inspiration from Japanese culture, style, and architecture, and threw it all together in an A-frame cabin made entirely from salvaged materials. It's as gorgeous as it is sustainable, and offers the perfect, purest, and peaceful getaway from the hustle and bustle of city living. And in true Japanese fashion, this forest cabin is able to blend the old with the new and nature with domesticity to keep things quite minimal on the inside. The floors are made of stone, and the interior offers a quaint little kitchen and a warm hearth for Oregon's chilly fall and colder winters. The tatami mat living area and even has a second story, which you can reach by a staircase made of logs that leads you up to the simple king-size sleeping area. But aside from this scenery, the real standout of this Japanese forest home is the traditional bath. Japan is known for its appreciation for cleanliness, and so public bathhouses can be found in nearly every prefecture. But when you reach the rural areas, you'll find many of them are outdoor hot springs. So while this Oregon cabin in the woods may not be situated near a volcano, the water and steam of the outdoor bath is definitely a hot spot. Number 10. Manse Island Resort. Norway is pretty big on nature and designers, architects, and artists. They're always trying to find fun, new, and practical ways to incorporate that appreciation into everyday life. So then why not enjoy all of the comforts of home while essentially living over the water? Because that's exactly what's going on with the Manse Island Resort in Norway. These little seaside cabins are totally remote and built right on the rocks jutting out over the waters of the Norwegian Sea. And while it may be a resort, it's composed of just 4 of these modern little cabins, all of which are on the small island in Norway's Stein archipelago. Unless they're traveling by boat, no one is going to bother you here, and as you can see, about a third of the cabins here are made totally of glass, giving you seriously awesome views and letting you feel as if you're walking on water. You can even fish in the sea. Just imagine waking up to the sunrise every morning here with a cup of coffee, basking in the light, and then enjoying a glass of wine to watch the sunset. It really is a Nordic fairy tale come true. Number 9. Thae House. A-frame homes and cabins have become all the rage recently, and the Thae House in the American Pacific Northwest is no different. The Thae House can be found in Stevens Pass and is a classic case of what you see is what you get, but that doesn't make it any less stunning. The real showstopper here is the scenery, as this A-frame cabin is surrounded by lush greenery and incredibly tall trees that the sun peeks through every morning to wake up the folks sleeping here. The cabin itself is relatively small, but still offers all of the cozy comforts of home like a small kitchenette and living space that has a stellar view of the surrounding area. It's big enough for 4 guests at a time and even has a hot tub. Stevens Pass is a great place to go on a hike, but the area also offers skiing in the winters and small boat rentals during the warmer months. Overall, it's the perfect place to spend a long weekend, and the Thae House itself is the best place to lay down at the end of a nature-filled day. The cabin sits in a national forest, meaning you're not going to have to hear anything except the wind blowing, the bees buzzing, and the birds chirping. Number 8. Tahoe Crest View Lodge. Lake Tahoe in California is one of the state's biggest vacation destinations, and thousands of people flock there for a little R&R every year. And since it's a lake, you can bet that there are plenty of cabin options in the area, but the Tahoe Crest View Lodge is the cream of the crop. And while you would be 100% right to call the Tahoe Crest View Lodge a cabin, that still wouldn't do the place justice. It's absolutely stellar and looks more like a wooden mansion than it does a cozy cabin getaway. This log cabin of pure luxury offers 5,000 square feet of ultimate vacation space and is massive. It's ultra-modern and just downright swanky on the inside. Even for Tahoe standards, the Crestview Lodge seems fit for a lakeside royalty. And seeing as how it's so large, this giant cabin can technically fit up to a dozen guests amongst its multiple full-size bedrooms. But there's definitely enough floor space to throw some air mattresses, blankets, and sleeping bags on the floor to make it a real party. And speaking of parties, the Tahoe Crestview Lodge has a game room with its very own bar, private sauna, and multiple spa-style showers. And it wouldn't be a cabin on the lake without sweeping views of Lake Tahoe, which is why this cabin mansion has more balconies than you can shake a finger at. Anyone staying here is going to be the envy of the entire lake. Number 7. Highfalutin Hideaway. While cozy cabins are certainly nice, sometimes you want something a little bigger, or maybe even something a lot bigger. This log castle is called the Highfalutin Hideaway and can be found amongst the rolling hills of Broken Bow, Oklahoma. The Highfalutin Hideaway sits right on a lake, and it's high enough to offer views of the adjoining river. It's pretty stellar and tucked away from just about everything, making it the perfect place for either a group of friends and family to get away from it all or the daring solo trip. But the icing on the cake here is that this cabin sits on protected land, and so the wildlife like deer and rabbits are all able to roam freely. And while the surrounding area is just as breathtaking, the interiors are where it's at. Despite being situated in nature, the highfalutin Hideaway comes stocked with giant televisions in every bedroom, all of which are full-sized, and there's even a full arcade with over 60 classic arcade games that helped to shape the landscape of gaming back in the 1980s. And with that many choices, there's definitely something for everybody, and it's a great opportunity for parents to reconnect with old favorites while the youth see what gaming was like all those years ago. But for the folks who would rather unplug, the cabin has a 12-foot interior shuffleboard grid, games tables for foosball, air hockey, and billiards, and anyone looking to hang out in the great outdoors can play ping pong, cornhole, horseshoes, or just chill by the fire and make some s'mores. Number 6. Timber Moose Lodge. Alright, we've seen some pretty epic cabins so far, but the Timber Moose Lodge in Timber Lakes, Utah has the honor of being the biggest cabin in America. So how big is this thing then? Well, try 26,500 square feet of interior space alone. And before you even get to this log cabin mansion, the Timber Moose Lodge is sitting on 12 acres of woodlands, and the cabin itself offers a full 360-degree view of the Utah mountains. And when it comes to the actual exterior of the cabin itself, it offers guests 9,300 square feet worth of decks, balconies, and the insane crow's nest 50 feet above the cabin. The lodge has a total of 13 huge bedrooms, 17 bathrooms, 7 fireplaces, an indoor swimming pool, a sauna, and then the 2,100 square foot grand room made with high vaulted ceilings that can serve as a full banquet hall with enough space for almost 100 people. It's definitely one of the more extravagant cabins in the world and may serve better as the site of a political summit than a summer adventure with friends and family. Plus, the Timber Moose Lodge is big enough to sleep 58 people, so why not invite everyone you know? Number 5. Treehouse Cabin above San Francisco Bay. If you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear flowers in your hair. You're going to meet some gentle people there. Those lyrics will definitely be ringing through your head when you see the Treehouse Cabin above San Francisco Bay. Found high above the brush in Burlingame, California, this quaint little treehouse is the perfect destination for couples or anyone just looking to get away from it all, and maybe even live out some unfulfilled childhood fantasies. The San Francisco Bay is quite beautiful, and many people don't realize that the surrounding woods are just as breathtaking. So then why not build a cabin in the trees here to give people the best views possible? The treehouse above San Francisco Bay is small, but it certainly gets the job done and lets you glamp to your heart's content. But what makes this treehouse so special is that it's entwined with the world around it, with tree branches weaving their way in and out of the house on all sides as it sits in the 150-year-old oak tree. It's truly a fairy tale come to life, and postcards from here will never do it justice. Number 4. Fairmont Le Montello. The Fairmont Le Montello is an amazing cabin situated in one of the last remaining land grants from the French kings of old in Canada. This massive cabin serves as a hotel for those who can afford it and has seen all kinds of guests come and go over the years. Even Margaret Thatcher herself stayed within those walls of wood and said it was the biggest log cabin she had ever seen. The Fairmont Le Montello has been around since 1930, and despite being built on 4 million square feet, was built in just 4 months, which is no easy feat. In fact, it took teams working around the clock to get it done, and the work never stopped until the Chateau Montebello was ready to go. This cabin hotel now has 211 guest rooms, a ballroom, a dining room, and a 17,000 square foot multi-purpose room. This place is absolutely amazing and sits on the awesome hexagonal rotunda with the main focal point being the 6-sided stone fireplace. But the chateau is a little different from your average cabin because the outside is painted black to juxtapose itself with the natural surroundings it finds itself in. So in order to truly appreciate the natural handcrafted woodwork is to come on inside. The Fairmont Le Montebello is a great reminder that cabins don't always have to be just a one-room shack. Number 3. Cornish Woods Cabin. Anybody who's anybody has dreamed of building a cabin and moving off-grid, and while not many of us will ever achieve that pipe dream or simply just move on from it, two people, Richard Stewart and Hakan Stroz, put their money where their mouth is and put the hard work in to build their Cornish Woods cabin. The Cornish Woods cabin can be found in a field in the Lizard Peninsula on the southernmost point of the British mainland, with 7 acres of meadow and woodland surrounding it. The only neighbors here are the deer and hare, and the only sounds to be heard are the wind blowing about the trees. The entire site is incredibly picturesque, and the interiors are just as stellar. The cabin's built completely from Douglas fir and incorporates a central open-plan living space with a mezzanine platform that serves as the storage space, as well as the owner's sleeping quarters. This place really brings things back to nature, but there's still some extra room in there in the rear of the cabin with 2 more sleeping areas. The owners are both photographers, and they managed to implement their expertise in light and shadows into the Cornish Woods cabin to maximize the amount of natural light. Number 2. Exbury Egg. Living on beachfront property or even in a home dangling over a cliff is one thing, but actually living on the water is totally a different beast. Located in the United Kingdom, the Exbury Egg is an awesome little abode that sits right on top of the water. This small, floating residence was actually built by a boat builder who took their inspiration from, you guessed it, a bird's egg, specifically the seabirds who rest and roost on the banks of the river. It may be small and better suited for just one person, but the Exbury Egg has living space and a small kitchen and a stove to provide the basic creature comforts. There's even a hammock to help enjoy the outdoor scenery and a skylight, which provides some pretty amazing views of the stars every night. But the location of the Exbury Egg holds some significance as well. It was built in the New Forest, a fully open forest in southern England with a history that reaches all the way back to the 11th century. Outside of looking like an egg, the purpose of this place was to be sustainable and have as minimal an impact as possible on the environment. Number 1. Free Spirit Treehouses. Alright, it's time to get funky again. Massive treehouse complexes are awesome, but the Free Spirit Treehouses offer something a little more otherworldly without having to leave the Earth's atmosphere. Located in Qualicum Beach, British Columbia, the Free Spirit spheres are always available to rent, but they're even up on the market to be bought if you're looking to add some extra quirkiness to your life. These small, minimal spherical treehouses are just one room and are all accessible through the outdoor spiral staircases that make their way around a tree trunk, leading to a small personal suspension bridge. And luckily, these Free Spirit treehouses aren't too high up, so if you do have a little misstep, you'll be just fine. These spheres are all made with local materials, including spruce and fiberglass, and many of the interiors are adorned with indigenous paintings, so that folks inside can really reconnect with the land and get a little bit of history lesson as well. These futuristic-looking Free Spirit treehouses are a great way to combine luxury living with eco-friendly minimalism. Thank you to our channel members.